You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome, gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and I'm joined, as always, by Kevin, and Alex is back. And for those of you tuning in and watching, Alex's deer in the headlights was priceless there. And sorry, buddy, we had to do it to you.
That is more than fair. That is more than fair. I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this.
So we kid, we joke, we're having some fun, having a little laugh there, and it's all in good fun there. And you know what? That's let's just be honest, that was far more entertaining than anything we've seen from the Broncos this year.
Oh yeah. I'm about ready to just give up on the whole stinking thing.
Are you ready to write your breakup letter to him?
I'm getting pretty close to writing my breakup letter to him. Although I did read a nifty little article last Friday, it would have been, from the Denver Post. And basically, the long and short of it was why the new Broncos ownership should just fire Nathaniel Hackett right now and throw $10 million a year at Sean Payton to lure him out of retirement and try and correct said ship. Yes, ship, S-H-I-P, get me right, that the Broncos are currently displaying.
That's not a bad theory to throw out there. I've been more focused in on the college coaching carousel, because right now there isn't an NFL coaching carousel. I mean, with the exception of Carolina and Matt Rule, which I think he is going to be a fantastic college coach at his next landing spot. But maybe it was unfair to have the expectations that we did going into this season with the Denver Broncos.
$250 million quarterback. I mean, $250 million lemon. It's
I understand that. And you're right. You're right to think that way. I mean, it is that, man, you think you're going to get Russell Wilson. You think realistically that was our only issue last year, right? The Broncos didn't have quarterback play. The quarterback play was poor, and the Broncos were a quarterback away. Well, that was when we had a really good defensive coach and, offensive pieces that gelled, and play calling that was, it worked for what they had. It just, the talent wasn't there. And now we've gone away from, I mean, the defense is still pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good.
I don't know. You give up 9 points in regulation. The fact that you're continually not giving up more than 20 points, like there has to be some sort of expectation for an NFL team to be able to realistically score 20 points per game on the offensive side of the ball when your defense is holding them to less than that and be able to win games.
And for what it's worth, that $250 million has not kicked in yet. So he's still a $19 million man.
Well, his dead cap hits $148 million this year.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some funky business with the numbers that I'll never understand. But it is just been mind-boggling. And you know what? Like, I understand that Nathaniel Hackett's a first-year head coach, but the guy was a play caller in this league. I mean, granted, he wasn't really a play caller. He was a play caller in theory, because LaFleur handled all that stuff in Green Bay. But he understood, and he got to be around it, and he got to be around successful teams. I'm just curious how much like Aaron Rodgers actually does. Like that to me is like, do you remember who was it from the Broncos that kept getting head coaching jobs because he coached
Adam
Peyton Manning?
Gase?
Thank you. Yes. I tried to delete that name from my brain. But yeah, maybe Nathaniel Hackett was the product of a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Well,
much like Adam Gase was the product of Peyton Manning.
Right. And I think that this kind of leads to truth of the rumor that we wanted Rodgers. Like, we got Russell, but we wanted Rodgers because this offense is truly set up like an Aaron Rodgers offense, right? It is 3 to 5 step drop. It is deep route concepts. It is, being able to diagnose. You're not moving the quarterback around as much, right? Like it looks a lot like Green Bay's. You add some gap or zone blocking schemes, just depending on the matchup in there, and you go from there. With Russ, we should be seeing, an extra bootlegger to each game. Keep the defense on it. We should be seeing more slants, just simple slants, 5-yard ins, slants, 5-yard outs. But a lot of these route concepts, if it's not a little flare route from a running back, it is a deep crosser or a back shoulder throw, right, to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy with the occasional deep ball to KJ Hamler. And I know some people are lit that Hamler kind of busted out and popped off about he was wide open at the end of that Thursday night game.
He was.
But he was.
Like, any person on this show, on this screen right now, could have made that throw. And
yes.
I'm not trying to say that playing quarterback in the NFL is easy, but as far as
on
throws go, on that play,
Yeah.
right? And it was one of those that you could see it happen on the television screen as it developed there. Most of the time, the camera angles are bad. You can't see the actual passing lanes, things like that. You could see it. And I remember I was on the phone with somebody and we were talking through this thing, and literally Hamler came through and you could see him. I'm like, Hamler's open, get him the ball. And he throws this, nonsensical thing to the back of the end zone and it's, game over. Like that. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. Obviously, this is now a lost season with the amount of injuries that Denver has dealt with the strength of the rest of the division. Even in a loss last night, I mean, Las Vegas looked every bit like they could hang with Kansas City. Yeah. And so the Chargers
they're
are
in
still,
one possession game that they keep losing. Like it's not
right.
They're getting blown out.
So in this division with what it would take to the corrections that would need to be made to make the playoffs, it's not in the cards this year for the Denver Broncos. So, I tell you, if they don't spend the rest of the season just tinkering and figuring out what they can do for next year, then it is an absolute waste of a season because.
But they can't take because they don't have the draft picks either.
No, and that's fine. That's fine.
To go out and compete
no. But they have to. Yeah, but they need to figure out what works and what doesn't. And for 6 weeks or whatever it is, 5 weeks, we've seen what doesn't work. So now they need to figure out what does work. And I would start with taking every single play that they have for the red zone offense and throwing it right in the garbage and starting from scratch. That red zone offense is terrible. I mean, terrible. I even sent a text to my buddy during the Thursday night game that the Broncos, they got into the red zone. I was like, it was a long pass play. I can't remember what it was, but the long pass play, guy gets tackled in the 10. And I was like, well, we're not getting a touchdown out of this because the Broncos red zone offense is just garbage. It is just garbage.
So a couple of comments coming in as well. Jamie was saying that Hackett can't hack it as a head coach in the NFL. I see what you did there with the wordplay. I like it.
I don't think you're wrong, Jamie.
I don't think you're wrong either. Joe Bond over on YouTube. You wonder why the 2-minute drill is when the Broncos and Wilson look the best. They simplify the playbook and the routes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they've got to figure out. I mean, first things first, address the red zone offense. And they can get into the red zone. Like, they're good enough to get into the red zone. They have got to figure out how to put it in the end zone and not settle for Brandon McManus trotting out there to do a chip shot, literally chip shot shorter than PAT field goals.
Yeah. Well,
I bet you he has more field goals that are shorter than PATs than he does PATs.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure he had more of those in the last game than he's had all season.
Yeah, and I think not to beat a dead horse, but I think it starts with feeding Cortland Sutton. If he's the guy who you trust, then that's okay. Then why are we trying to make everybody happy. And I know that is more of a Russ calling card than an Aaron Rodgers thing. But good night. He is the only one consistently catching the football. The only one consistently catching the football. So why aren't you intentionally finding a way to get him 9 to 12 targets a game? Make sure he gets 7 to 8 receptions, because while Judy's flashing in moments, right, there's still parts of his game that are developing, and he seems to be a little bit slower on the learning curve with Russ than what Sutton is. So use what works. You know what worked going down the field? The run game in the fourth quarter, finally. Like, we actually had a running game against the Colts. And then
they abandoned it.
Well, yeah, we dropped back in shotgun. Hamler was open, and that's a whole nother issue. But the play call in general, I thought was absolutely bogus.
Yeah, while you're throwing balls into the end zone with 2 minutes on the clock.
From the 5. Yeah, you're 4th and 1 from the 5. You need the yard. And you put your quarterback in shotgun. Like, you are taking away all illusion of the run.
Yeah.
Why in the world are you not trying to,
if nothing else, run play action
bootleg, right? Yeah, play action bootleg, just to try and get the linebackers to bite. See, I know you lost Bowles earlier in the game, so you're going to bootleg off to the right anyway. That's Russ's dominant side.
Yeah.
So have a tight end on that side and give him the option. If there's a guy over the top of you, you're blocking. If there's not a guy over the top of you, guess what? Your job is to take 2 big steps forward, turn around, and catch the ball right in the numbers. Like, this is stuff that you draw up in the dirt with your buddies when you're just messing around. Like, you can't even make Madden routes this simple. And it is what it is. Now, outside of that, the weekend was good, right? The Cowboys defense looks ferocious, right? They just put a hurting on the Rams. The Monday night game was great. The Sunday night game between the Ravens and the Bengals was a heck of a lot of fun too. The Jags have fallen back down to earth.
The Jets put up 40.
and the Jets keep finding ways to win. Now,
right.
I'm sure we could probably get into this more on the Friday night show, Derek, than on this one necessarily. But the Jets wins have come against a second-string quarterback, a third-string quarterback, and a quarterback making his first NFL start. Like, those are the 3 Jet wins. So let's not crown them just yet. But
they have more wins than the Broncos do.
They're finding ways to win.
Yeah.
Right? And they're using their running game. Breece Hall's emerging more and more as he continues to kind of eat up more of that backfield. But Michael Carter had a touchdown, right? I mean, he had a showing there. Corey Davis is looking solid, right? Like, he's not elite, but he's looking solid. Garrett Wilson's flashed, right? Elijah Moore is the one who's kind of been ghosted in this whole process. Like, Where is he? And up until this past Sunday, Tyler Conklin was like
a streaming gold mine.
Was the tight end, beauty for anyone not named, Kelsey or Andrews. And then he put up a goose egg. It's like, well, here you go. But good week of NFL, right? Getting ready to kind of dive in here to this next week, help everybody with their fantasy rosters. As we start getting into the bye weeks. And this is where your depth kind of helps you and takes over a little bit, right? We're through 5 weeks, and now we have the next 10 weeks of buys. There are teams on a bye every week for the next 10 weeks, which I think is completely bogus. Like, bye weeks should run – they should have 4 teams every week for bye weeks. That's it. Yeah. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That's what it should be. 4 teams each week. 1, from every other division, and you just rotate through. Like, I don't understand why we're stretching this out so damn far, but here we are.
Right. I mean, some of those where at least they've moved it back a little bit. It used to be that you'd see bye week start at like week 4.
Yeah.
And then, which that never made any sense to me. You're going to literally go through, you're going to play 3 games, have a bye, and then you go through another stretch of, at least 13 to 14 more games, where this whole thing is to try and stretch this thing out and build a break in for some of these guys, allow teams to get healthy, all that. Anyway, but whole other sidebar there. But yeah, so we'll get into this one. We got a great show for you guys tonight. We're gonna hit up the fantasy mailbag. We got results from the Pine and the Shine. We're gonna preview the Thursday night game. Going through doing some monkey knife fight touchdown dancing here as well, hopefully. And we're gonna also hit up our Pine and Shine for week 6 as well. Lots of fun there, guys. The best way to support this independent podcast, head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button on the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Closing in on those 700 subscribers over there, and we're trying to make that march toward the 1,000 on that one. You can find us on any of the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Good Old Boys FF. You have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I think I mentioned that, but all of those things at Good Old Boys FF. A couple of comments coming in here before we get into the mailbag here. Stacks app saying it's Tuesday. Time to see what the boys have to say. Appreciate that. Always a good time seeing the Stacks app in the chat. And leadership lessons. I think this is going back to Kevin's comment on Madden routes there. They say the Broncos are funner on Madden. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there, unfortunately.
Yeah, they actually win.
Yes, they do. All righty.
And if you don't, you can rage quit and then just come back and try again.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can rage quit in the middle of watching these games and hit the reset button, and it has yet to work. So
I rage quit. It just you can't hit the reset button.
Right. I'm very curious to see when Alex's breakup letter to the Broncos is going to come this year.
The pen has been dipped in the ink. Let's just
and
put it that way.
Those are always epic, and you'll want to make sure that you're tuning in live to see those because they are works of art. And I'm fully ready for this one already this season. All righty. Well, guys, are you ready to get into the mailbag here?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All righty. So we got the fantasy football mailbag coming in here. It's week 6 time. Throw in your questions, and guys out there watching live, throw them in the comment, throw them in the chat there. Let's answer any questions out there for everybody going through as well. First question coming in from Terry over on the YouTube. Should I trade Aaron Jones and St. Brown for Breece Hall, Tyler Lockett, and Geno? They've got Russ as their quarterback there, and I'm sorry if you got Russ. Something I'm dealing with there as well. But guys, thoughts on the trade? Are you making it? Are you not making it?
I'm making this trade. St. Brown's been down for the last 2 weeks. He's on bye this week, so hopefully he comes back healthy. But Aaron Jones, at some point they're going to remember that they have A.J. Dillon on this Green Bay roster. And I think that obviously takes away from some of his usage. And on the flip side, Geno is QB6 on the season right now. Like QB6, 4 out of 4 or 3 out of the last 4 games he's thrown over 300 yards. And he's doing just enough. And he can contribute slightly with his legs. Not a lot, but slightly with his legs. But he's making the Seattle offense work, right? Penny just went down. So, all you Ken Walker owners, congratulations. You have a clear-cut RB1. But, having Breece Hall, he's emerging. Like, look at his snap counts and his usage over the last 5 weeks. It has increased every single week. So Breece Hall, I think, can challenge basically the same type of production when we're getting into the back half of the season that you're going to see out of Aaron Jones. And you have a quarterback to help supplement the Russ thing. Lockett's kind of the bonus piece. You're going to see some highs. You're going to see some lows. But it's a nice little stack, right? Geno and Lockett. So, when if one goes off, the other one's most likely going off too. Helps with bye weeks, right? Lockett may not be an everyday starter, but he's a good flex piece to help navigate the bye weeks and navigate what's coming up in front of us. So I would have never taken this trade preseason, right? We would have looked at this and gone, not a chance on earth.
Right.
And now I'm looking at it going, I understand this. I understand your frustration as a Russell Wilson owner, and this does make your team better in the long run and in the short run. And if Russ is able to turn it on, then guess what? You plug him back into your starting lineup. But for now, you're starting Geno.
Right.
Yeah, I like the Breece Hall side of it. I mean, that alone to me is the one that really, really sweetens the deal there because, again, with the Packers, it's just, man, that offense is also kind of helter-skelter at the moment. Looks good, then looks terrible, and that's one series to the next, So I like the fact that Breece Hall is emerging, as Kevin said, and the fact that you can kind of sweeten your pot with Geno. Keep in mind, Russ is now dealing with an injury, so who knows what that's going to do, and he has no left tackle to protect him for his back injury. So I would rather have Geno at this moment. And stupidly, I traded Geno away in the home league after week one, thinking, I can just get something for Geno. And now I'm really wishing I wouldn't have made that move.
Yeah. So, this is a phrase that Kevin likes to say a lot. Take the names out of it, and what do you get, right? So, taking the names out of it, you're going to trade QB 14 and running back 14 and wide receiver number 9 on the season in half-point PPR scoring for running back 10 on the season, quarterback 7 on the season, and wide receiver number 8 on the season. So, you're instantly upgrading off of that in the past, right? Like you take all the take the names out of it. Amon-Ra, hotter name than Tyler Lockett, obviously, right? Heading into the season, all the hype, things like that. And had Amon-Ra played the last 2 weeks, we would have seen something a little different there, right? He probably would be ahead of Lockett. There's like 1.2 points separating those two. So there's some difference there, but Tyler Lockett's been very serviceable for you. Breece Hall certainly taking over the workload on that one. And while Michael Carter's still getting touchdowns, Michael Carter touchdowns came off of these long breakaway plays for Breece Hall, where Breece Hall got tackled and after 40, 50-yard run type of thing, and these big plays where he goes down, they subbed him out because he needed a blow. Michael Carter comes in and scores the 1-yard touchdown. There's a yard that separates that a little bit from Breece Hall having he had a great week, almost 200 yards all purpose type of thing and a touchdown versus, going about 200 yards and almost 2 or 3 touchdowns type of thing, which would have blown that thing up even more so on that one. So yeah, I'm right there with you. That's a 3-way consensus saying, let's do the trade there. All right, let's go ahead and hop into our next question here. Question coming in. This was a trade question, and it was which side do you want, right? The team A is getting DeAndre Hopkins and Ken Walker III. Team B is getting Jameson Williams and Justin Jefferson. Which side of the fence do you want there?
I'm keeping Jefferson.
Give me Jefferson all day. Jefferson hides a lot of flaws.
Yeah, right.
He's been kind of boomer bust this year, right? Like he's had really, really big games, and then he had that clunker of a game where he got targeted like 3 times. But like overall consistency, give me Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, you're looking at a top, obviously with his ranking, a top 3, and in my eyes, still probably the biggest boom potential out of a fantasy wide receiver this year. You don't know what Nuke Hopkins is going to look like, right? Like we expect him to come back and do good things, but this Arizona offense has kind of been meh as of late. Hollywood's kind of getting his as he's getting force-fed a lot of targets, but how is that going to look once he comes back? And Jamal Williams is going to have usage even when Swift comes back, right? We saw this before Swift went down with the ankle injury. The Lions were using Jamal Williams, so that's not going to go away. So
it's Jameson Williams in the.
Oh, Jameson Williams. I'm sorry, wrong Williams. My apologies. Fine. So Jameson Williams, he's coming back the back half of the season, and kind of the same unknown as Hopkins. Only Hopkins is more of a proven commodity. So you get everything else, regardless of. Justin Jefferson is greater than Kenneth Walker, and I would rather have that position locked down. You know exactly who your wide receiver 1 is week in and week out. You will have to suffer through not necessarily streaming, but a lot of tough roster decisions with Nuke Hopkins in his place, especially these first couple weeks, seeing how he fits into the offense, and a Kenneth Walker who I think Seattle's defense is bad enough. They're not going to run the ball a whole heck of a lot. Like, they're going to be throwing it to stay in games. So, JJ, all the way for me.
Yeah, I would agree on that as well. You mentioned that Marquise Hollywood Brown has been wide receiver 6 so far through the first 5 weeks on that one. And, the assumption is that adding Nuke Hopkins into the mix is going to make the Arizona passing offense more prolific, is kind of the thought process that a lot of folks out there have. But counterpoint to that, what if what we're seeing right now is kind of the high point of what we can see out of this Arizona offense? The defense is bad. And so it's one of those that when they come back, right, they may not necessarily have enough to fully go around to the point where you can see them support both Nuke and Hollywood to the point where you end up seeing 2 guys that are wide receiver 2s on your roster versus Justin Jefferson, who I think is going to continually just get you 20 points a week on average there. So I'm right there with you, Justin Jefferson side of it. Terry in the chat this time is asking for which way you like this one. Walker and Sutton for St. Brown. His current wide receivers are Pittman, Sutton, Evans, Tyler Boyd, and Gabe Davis.
I think I stay put. I don't think I make that move for St. Brown.
I guess I see why you want to. And Terry, if I'm remembering, your running back room's pretty stacked. If I'm remembering correctly,
I think you're remembering that right.
So he has the depth there at running back from what I remember seeing some of these other ones. I'm okay with that. Like Sutton, I think Sutton's going to consistently see, 7, 8 targets a game. So 5 to 6 catches is pretty much what you're getting out of Sutton. And while he's a nice complementary piece, having a St. Brown and that ability to really take the top off the defense and pair with a Mike Evans week in and week out, and then you're basically making Pittman your flex play, which is a great flex play, right? Like a lot of people would die for that option essentially, right? So I think I'm okay with it. Like I'm not. I think Walker's going to have a tough time because that team is going to be trailing in Seattle, like we just said. I like Cortland Sutton. I have him in our home league. Luckily, I also have St. Brown, so I don't have to make this decision. But I understand where you're coming from. Like Cortland Sutton can only get you so far. He's a great floor play, even with the Broncos offense being so stinking terrible. But there is no ceiling for Cortland Sutton. He is nothing but a floor play. St. Brown, when healthy, gives you roughly the same floor that a Cortland Sutton does. Only with St. Brown, you can see monster games where he rivals even, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, that type of elite receiver. He rivals their ceiling at his best.
Right. And Mike Evans also gives you a massive ceiling there as well. Pittman, I do it as well, Terry. I think I like that deal, and I think I like that trade. I would certainly rock and roll that one there as well. Alrighty. Next question coming in from the Stacks app. Thoughts on Taysom Hill?
I think you're riding a roller coaster, right?
Yeah, buyer beware.
Taysom Hill was on the field for 15% of the team's snaps up until week 5. That's a big gamble. No one saw this coming. No one expected this to come. There was absolutely 0 people in the fantasy industry putting out publicly that I think Taysom Hill is going to blow up. And this week, a lot of them are admitting that. Different podcasts, streaming shows, just kind of going through it. So tight end's so bleak, right? You see the highs and the lows. It's not a bad streaming option, I guess, if they feel like the matchup's right and you're going through bye weeks or if your guy gets nicked up. I understand, because outside of Kelsey and Andrews, everybody's had at least one terrible week already, if not 2. So I understand the allure, but you have to be willing to take all the lows with the game like last week where he scores 4 touchdowns out of nowhere.
Right. Well, and part of the problem that you have too is this is one of those that is it going to surprise you if these platforms decide to change the designation on Taysom Hill partway through the season either? If he can, like right now where he's getting all his points, he's not lining up as a tight end. He's lining up as a quarterback. That's where the majority of his points come from, is this wildcat formation where he goes in and does that. Taysom Hill's tight end number 3 on the season right now in half-point PPR scoring, and he has 1 reception out of the tight end position for 2 yards. That's it. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, Kevin. I don't know that I necessarily. Yeah, I might take a stab on a shot on him on some weeks there, depending upon if I need a ceiling type of play, because that's where he can potentially do it. But I'm also writing that in conjunction with if Jameis
Winston.
Thank you. Jameis Winston is healthy and able to go. Same thing too, right? The bevy of Saints weapons. Jarvis Landry has been out. Michael Thomas has been out. Chris Olave's in the concussion protocol. So the Saints receiving room looking very bleak there. Jameis hasn't been able to go. And so this could be one of those that this week it would be worth a flyer, if nothing else, from the standpoint that when the Saints get in the red zone, they're likely going to throw Taysom Hill back there into it, and away they go from there. But I'm not necessarily wanting to ride that one unless I absolutely have to. But again, some of those blow up weeks like he just had will certainly change some of the narrative and change some of the perspective that people have out there on that one.
Yeah, and they're expecting Michael Thomas to be back for week 6. We'll see how Olave's progression through the protocol goes. So if those wide receivers are back, I think Hill's, luxury of, these random bonus points kind of goes out the window. Then you traditionally use Andy Dalton more. But if they're down those receivers again, I understand. Really what the best part about last week was Alvin Kamara actually had a really good game. Like this is the game last week is kind of the best you're going to get for Kamara. So those of you frustrated with owning him, now's the time to try and flip him. Like it looks like he's on the uptick. He had that first good game. Like you need to be pumping up the fact that he's on the rise to other people in your league to try and get him off your plate.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the problem too with the the Kamara side of things is Taysom Hill has 5 touchdowns on the rushing touchdowns on the season, and almost every one of those likely would have gone to a Kamara type of thing and on a similar play design with with either Jameis or Andy Dalton back there. I also think too that once you see Jameis back in this thing, the allure to take Jameis off the field to put Taysom Hill in there in a wildcat actually decreases there as well. So I think we could see the limited kind of upside here on Taysom going forward. Alex, any other thoughts on Taysom Hill?
Nah.
All right. Next question coming in here. Leadership lessons need a streaming tight end option for week 6. Are we saying Taysom Hill? Is he a streaming option this week? Rostered in 21% of leagues out there.
Man, I would hate myself if he was. I get it. If Michael Thomas decides he can't go and Olave is still in concussion protocol, then yeah, like he's absolutely a streaming option this week. But I'm not willing to buy into that yet. And I think to this point, it is getting tougher to look at these tight ends. I think Irv Smith Jr. is a guy that had probably been dropped. He's back out on your leagues. You can take a look at him. Evan Ingram, possibly, right? If someone had to make roster moves because of a bye week and Evan Ingram was their second tight end, he's someone that you kind of jump after. There's some leagues where I've seen Hurst and Njoku still on the waiver wire.
Hayden Hurst only rostered in about 28% of leagues out there.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst would be at the top of my list. Like that's Njoku if he's there. Outside of that, Hayden Hurst would be my top 2 for sure. And then outside of that, honestly, bud, it's a gamble. Bellinger from the Giants, got into the end zone. They're using him sparingly, but he has seen a couple catches, couple targets each game. So you want to look at this and you want to find the clearest path to 10 points, right? That's what you want out of your tight end. And in a half-point PPR league, really you're looking at like you want 7 to 8 points.
Right.
Full point, you're looking more at 10. That's what you're trying to get. So you want to find the clearest option to 7 to 10 points out of your tight end position if you're streaming tight ends, and just cross your fingers and hope for the best, because it is a crapshoot, for lack of better terms.
Yeah,
this week's certainly a lot tougher.
I'll throw another name out there that is I mean, it is a streaming option. I will preface it that way. But there was encouraging signs last week, and that's Noah Fant with the Seahawks.
I would say Will Dissly was just as good of an option out of
Will
Seattle,
Dissly, and truth be told, like Dissly's rostered in a lot fewer leagues than Noah Fant is. And realistically, I think they're projected right around the same. So, I mean, either one of those, you just hope that you pick the right one. It's kind of been like the Zeke, Tony Pollard. If you've got both on your roster because you thought, oh, I'll get the handcuff. Well, it's been kind of a rough and tumble. Which one do I pick? Which one goes off each week? But yeah, those are two names that I would throw out there as well.
Bobby Tonyan.
With how good, especially with how good Geno's playing. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, let's get over to the mailbag here again. The coaches asking, what's a fair price for CeeDee Lamb to sell off in for redrafts here?
Why do you want to sell off CeeDee Lamb?
I don't have any more context to it than what we've got for what's a fair price for CeeDee Lamb. It could be the fact that the Cowboys just had 100 yards passing on a game here. I imagine Dak coming back. He may be back this week, maybe back the week after that, but Dak coming back will certainly change that. I don't know that we're going to see a decrease in CeeDee's volume, but if you're looking to move off of him, you need to move off of a guy that's a wide receiver one on his team, seeing 30% of the target share, and is a top 12 type of wide receiver out there for fantasy. So you're looking to get something in that ballpark back.
Breece Hall, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I say you need a bell cow in air quotes, but you need kind of a bell cow back in order to replace that.
Yeah, Breece Hall, Joe Mixon are the first two that come to mind.
If you're looking to swap wide receiver, I don't know why. Like, just write it out. Like, if you're trying to make an upgrade at wide receiver, unless you're getting one of the 11 guys in front of CeeDee Lamb, in which case I don't know why anybody would make that deal with you unless they're a diehard Cowboys fan.
I mean, CeeDee right now ranked wide receiver 17 on the season, right? But you've got guys ahead of him like Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Cortland Sutton, Chris Olave, AJ Brown, Debo, Mike Williams, and then up into like the Tyler Lockett's, and then you get into the elite names there. But I don't know that I necessarily want to make a move for CeeDee for Chris Olave.
No, but you could do. I mean, if you're really not liking the way it's going, CeeDee and Devin Singletary, and see if you can get AJ Brown.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that would be
right. It jumps you up a little bit. The running back name is good for depth. Like, he's a spot start, but he's not necessarily there. But if the other team's struggling at running back and you're giving him pretty fair compensation on receiver, that might be enough to make them bite off on it. But CeeDee straight up for any one position is going to be tough. Guys don't like to part with big time, clear number one running backs. They're hard to come by. And so it's going to take a piece or two. Like, there is no just unload CeeDee for something.
Right.
And there's still a lot of unknown. Like, obviously this Cowboys offense, they're winning, right? So that leads you to believe that they will take their time with getting Dak back, because results on field are still there. But things change when Dak Prescott comes back. That offense changes when Dak Prescott comes back. So I can understand the frustration, but I think patience pays off here.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys should bring Dak back for this game against the Eagles, but I think they do bring Dak back
probably because the Eagles are about to get out of touch if if they win this one. Granted, now everybody in the NFC East is apparently the NFC East is what we all thought the AFC West was going to be this year. But yeah, right. But I still think the Cowboys might rush him back. Pardon the pun. To probably a week sooner than he needs to be. Although, I was watching that Cowboys game this weekend, and Tom Rinaldi said he shook Dak Prescott's hand, and the first thing that Dak said to him was, "How does my grip feel? Like, I'm ready to come back. My thumb is good." And so, I think the Cowboys might bring him back maybe a week too soon, but you never. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I haven't looked at it.
And we'll learn tomorrow, right? Like that's when Dak's going to be throwing the ball, and they're going to really evaluate his grip strength and throwing the ball with different route concepts and everything else. So we'll learn more tomorrow for sure.
But a divisional game, you want your best players out there, even if it's 85% of Dak. You want 85% of Dak Prescott versus 100% of Cooper Rush, because while they are winning, it is not at the hands of Cooper Rush. It is at the hands of Micah Parsons and that Dallas defense, because holy freaking crap, are they scary.
They're getting after the quarterback like crazy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still kind of flabbergasted here because CeeDee Lamb's lowest targeted game is still 8. Like that's
hard to get away from.
That's his floor, is 8 targets a game. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to acquire CD where I can get him. Like I'm trying to find ways where, and
maybe that's the question.
Cortland Sutton and something maybe for a CD Lamb and kind of go from there and kind of horse trade with people. Like that's what I'm looking to acquire right now. Like people don't like it. 4 games with Cooper Rush, like blah blah blah. Like 2 of those games were big games. Like these are really good games. So. If I can find a disappointed CD Lamb owner, send him my way. I'm more than happy to try and work a deal with him.
And maybe that's what they're asking there is what's the price that they should try and package together to go get CD, and what's maybe that's kind of more the angle of the question there, instead of they're trying to trade it off, but they're trying to go acquire, and what would you package to send off to go get CD? Mm-hmm. So. Anyway, I think that we kind of answered that question on both sides of that anyway. So, all righty. Thanks for the question out there. One more coming in here. Giovanni Video on the YouTube. Who is better rest of season PPR, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift? Which one you like better rest of season, full PPR, JT or Swift?
Both coming off ankle injuries.
Taylor might be back.
I'm taking Taylor
this week.
No, I'm taking Taylor. You drafted him number 1 overall for a reason. He traditionally last year and the year before, right? The back half of the season, he got stronger. The Colts continued to feed him the ball through everything. Like, I guess I'm willing to bank on that as opposed to Swift seeing so many receptions with Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back, with Jameson Williams coming into the fold, with Chark being there and Reynolds being there and Hawkinson and all these things that Goff is doing. I would feel better with Jonathan Taylor over DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I mean, give me the guy with the bigger workload, and that's going to be Jonathan Taylor, right? Like a poor showing for Jonathan Taylor sees him getting 25 opportunities over the course of the week, right? He's going to see roughly 20 rushing attempts. He's going to see probably an additional 5 targets through the air. So sign me up for that one. Even though DeAndre Swift has been incredibly efficient on the ground and through the air, DeAndre Swift, the problem is that you're going to rely on all of that production coming off of what's equated to about 15 targets. So give me the guys. We'll see the bigger workload on that. Give me the guy that is the undoubted goal line red zone back there. And that's the problem that we've also seen in Detroit too, is they're very comfortable using DeAndre Swift in between the 20s. But once it seems to get into the red zone, all of a sudden we see Jamal Williams come in there. And there's been a multiple times where we've seen Jamal Williams vulture touchdowns off of great drives put together by the Lions where DeAndre Swift was in the backfield the entire time. Plus the fact that DeAndre Swift will not play this week. They are on bye this week, and you likely will see Jonathan Taylor back. I'm right there with you. Give me Jonathan Taylor over DeAndre Swift on this one. Any other thoughts on this one? All righty. All right, let's go ahead and head over here, talk about some Trophy Smack here at the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. We're all about cash and trophies, and now you can get a completely customized trophy for your league at TrophySmack.com. You want a championship belt or a winner's ring? Trophy Smack has you covered. You can check out the link down in the bio. It's on both the audio version and on the video version on the YouTube side of things. You can check out that link in the description. Get yourself a customized trophy and all of that ordered, and help the boys out along the way doing that as well. So, alrighty, guys, that's going to go ahead and lead us down in the waiver wire. Any thoughts out there for some guys that we haven't necessarily talked about here, waiver wire side of things?
I guess, yeah, I have a couple. Jacoby Myers is a guy that I think people need to be paying attention to, especially if you need some wide receiver help. Yes, he was out those 2 games with the injury, but in the 3 games he's played, he has been wide receiver. What was it? He was wide receiver 8 in yards per or in points per catch. So he is clearly the number 1 offense. While limited, yes, he is still seeing the targets, like 9, 13, and 6 or 7 or something is his target output through the 3 games that he's played. He fell into the end zone last week, which obviously helps, but this team is still run first. We're going to see big things out of Ramondre Stevenson here the next couple of weeks. But Jacoby Myers, kind of a unpopular name, so to speak, but he's a guy to be looking at. Corey Davis is a guy that you can be looking at there. Raheem Mostert, if people haven't picked him up in some shallower leagues, Dolphins are going to keep running the ball here for a little bit until they know Tua's right and getting back into the game. So that's a big thing. Kind of those are some initial highlights of what I would be looking at.
I've got 2 names to throw out there to pay attention to. If James Conner can't go for Arizona, Eno Benjamin, who is not rostered in a lot of leagues, especially on the ESPN platform. But Eno Benjamin's a good name out there. If Connor can't go, he got thrust into duty when Connor got hurt. And then another name, which this is actually surprising to me, he's only rostered in 24% of ESPN leagues, and you guys will have to check what he's rostered in other leagues. But Devin Duvernay, he. Watching that game Sunday night, like Lamar Jackson is looking for Duvernay. They are finding ways to get Duvernay the football. And maybe that was a matchup with the Bengals, and that's the first time I've been able to catch a Ravens game. But man, they are looking for Devin Duvernay. So just if you need some depth at wide receiver, I don't think he's going to be wide receiver 1 any week, but solid flex option, I think. Or somebody to complement, especially if you're going into bye weeks and you just need somebody to fill in. I think Duvernay's a really good option.
Yeah, Duvernay's a great spot start, especially like in this last week where Rashad Bateman missed the game. Like I'm right there with you. I like that thought on that one. One other name out there as well, right? Alex Pierce, a guy to potentially look at there as well. We've seen 2 weeks in a row where he's actually tied or led the Colts in targets. For anybody out there that was watching the post-game deal with Matt Ryan after that Thursday night game, he speaks very highly of him, speaks very glowingly of this rookie out there. And so, again, a name to be looking at and a guy to potentially be going after there as well. We already talked about some of the tight ends, some of the other options out there as well. Any other thoughts here on the waiver wire?
Can we just not reference that Thursday night game? That game set the sport back like 3 decades. That was so bad. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. I'm
still kicking myself. I didn't put the no touchdown
hammer the under.
I did hammer the under, and hammer the under. But no, there was one before the game got kicked off that I was looking through some of the sports books, and I almost clicked the no touchdown scored period on the anytime touchdown props, and that was going for big odds on that one. And the last second, I decided not to do it. I'm kicking myself still.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Just like those kickers were only kicking field goals in that game.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
Sorry.
All right, a couple of questions in the chat here. Let's go ahead and hit these things up here real quick. Giovanni Video, I'm thinking of trading away Dalvin Cook for Jonathan Taylor. Should I? Would you trade away? Okay, Alex?
If someone's willing to do that deal, yes.
I don't know. It's 6 of one for 6.5 of another, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm fully in on that. Taylor is coming off an injury. We do know that Dalvin Cook is going to miss some time. That's just Dalvin Cook. I don't know. Maybe not this week.
I'm doing it. I'm taking the trade. That's if you can do it, I'm taking the JT side of that one over the Dalvin Cook side. Terry, thoughts on Tyler Boyd this week versus New Orleans? Tyler Boyd, in my mind, is not really a startable or flex candidate unless either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins is going to miss. I don't know. Keep an eye on the reports there. I'm thinking both of those guys play this week, and I'm not necessarily looking to go out there and actively try and put a guy that's, even if one of those guys misses, still potentially going to be like the third targeted guy on his team there against a pretty stout New Orleans defense.
I like it if Higgins doesn't go, right? Like if he's still having issues with the ankle and we're going from there. I know that a lot of people are frustrated with this T. Higgins deal, right? It cost a lot of people their fantasy matchup this week because he was limited, then he was good to go, and he suited up. He played for like 10 snaps or something like that, and then poof, he just disappeared, right? It acted up and it couldn't go. Well, what in the hell, right? Like that's just frustrating. But I get why. So in deep leagues, right, 3 wide receiver leagues, I think I understand that. But now I think I'm okay with it. And the biggest reason New Orleans isn't going to be able to stop it all. And we just saw Geno Smith light them up through the air. You have to think that Cincinnati is going to be taking some of that, right? They put this stuff on tape, and here we go. So it's worth a flyer in deeper leagues where you're kind of hoping for a home run play, that type of thing. But I think I'd rather play Tyler Boyd in DFS than redraft or season-long fantasy. But if that's the corner that you're painted into, it's okay, but I'd look for like an Alec Pierce instead, like Derek mentioned earlier.
Okay. Let's set the line here on this one, and it's games called Tyler Boyd or. So Tyler Boyd or MVS this week.
Oof.
Who are the Chiefs playing? I haven't even looked.
Buffalo.
I'm going Tyler Boyd.
Okay.
I would go Tyler Boyd as well.
Okay, Tyler Boyd, DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. I like his matchup this week. I like DJ Moore's matchup this week.
And the fact that the coach got fired, you might actually see them do something this week. So,
yeah, and they're finally starting to target him. So, volume-wise alone, I'm going DJ Moore. There's more opportunity for success there.
Okay.
Even with PJ Walker.
Okay. Tyler Boyd, Corey Davis.
Davis.
Okay. Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers.
Okay. Last one here. Let's go Tyler Boyd and George Pickens.
Boyd.
Okay. So, I mean,
I'm not trusting Kenny Pickett against Tampa Bay.
Fair enough. And so we've seen a lot of that where the lines kind of set down there for Tyler Boyd around what are going to be kind of fringe wide receiver 3 on the week type of guys there, I think is what that is. So, kind of flex worthy, and like you said, kind of tight end 3 spot there. But there's some guys out there that, Jacoby Myers, like we didn't think to, even hesitate on that one. Jacoby Myers available on a lot of waiver wires. So I would, and I'm right there with you. I'd rather play Jacoby Myers over Tyler Boyd this week and just negate the whole situation there. So, alrighty. Giovanni, this one's kind of going back to his previous question. So it sounds like he may have to try and package something for Dalvin Cook and Jonathan Taylor there. Garrett Wilson as a potential piece or someone that he could put on there as a package.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Boyd, something like that. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Like you're playing. You didn't draft Garrett Wilson to be your wide receiver 2, right? You drafted him as someone who might pop, who has some flex appeal in certain matchups. I think Jonathan Taylor is – I view Jonathan Taylor as that much of an upgrade over Dalvin Cook that to me it's worth giving up a little bit of wide receiver depth if I have to with Dalvin Cook to get him.
Right. Che Ambrose over on YouTube. Do I drop Russ for Geno? Need to win now. Oh, yes. The irony.
Yeah. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, if you're in win now, mode, you're taking Geno.
Yep. Terrence over on YouTube. Conklin is current tight end. Should I drop him and grab Taysom Hill or Hayden Hurst this week? Man.
So it's a tough matchup. So team defense, right? Passing yards, defenses are giving up. The Packers are number 2. So they're not giving up a ton of passing yards this year. So I mean, that's tough. Does Taysom Hill have a higher ceiling this week? Maybe, but also I think has a lower floor. Whether or not he gets used in the way that we've been seeing. I'll let you guys pine on Hayden Hurst.
I tell you,
Hurst over Conklin by a hair this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Even though he's got the tougher matchup of the two, New Orleans again tough matchup there. Tyler Conklin, Green Bay. Kevin said it earlier really well. I don't know that I want to hop on the Taysom Hill roller coaster there. So I concur with Kevin on that. Hurst by a hair. If you really feel like living on the wild side, Hill is your wild ride on that one. Drake London or Alex Pierce this week?
I'm going Pierce. Colts are at home.
Playing a not so good Jaguars defense, yeah.
Well, yeah, and the Colts got kind of messed around with them that first game of the season, right, by the Jaguars, but that was on the road again. How the irony there. But no, Colts are back at home. This is for, trying to jockey position in this division. And I think the Colts defense has been playing on point. I like the way Alex Pierce has been playing and the way Matt Ryan has been looking his direction at the moment. Yeah, I'm going Pierce for this week.
Yeah, I agree. Even though, if you look at consensus rankings out there, people have Drake London well above Alex Pierce, but I do think Alex Pierce manages to have a good game, right? Like we just got done saying that he's led the Colts 2 weeks in a row for target share on this one. I don't see that changing. He's got the more favorable matchup against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville, right? You're got to decide what you're going to stop first. Are you going to stop Jonathan Taylor first? Are you going to stop Michael Pittman first? Or is Alex Pierce going to try and, take precedent over either one of those guys? And the answer is no. So I'm going to go with Alex Pierce. I like that ride there. Tampa Bay has been a tough matchup out there, and I don't see that one necessarily changing either. I'm sorry, San Francisco. I don't see San Francisco is a tough matchup, and that's who the Falcons are playing this week. So that's where I'm leaning. Nick, would you do Dalvin, Cook, James Robinson, and Juju for Jamar and Breece Hall? I'd rather have the Jamar and Breece Hall side.
Yes, I want the Jamar and Breece Hall side. So if you're getting them, yes. If you're giving them up, no.
Right. And if you manage to sneak a deal where you've given up Cook, Robinson, and Juju for those two, more power to you. Nick, he has Saquon, Fournette, Diggs, and Marquise Hollywood Brown there. So yeah, I mean at that point you're going from good to great if you can pull off that deal and get Jamar and Breece Hall there. So I like it. Terrence asking for a streamer defense this week. They have the Broncos rostered. Should it pick up the Ravens, Jags, Bengals, Panthers, Browns?
I don't think there's any reason to not play the Broncos defense. I mean, I get they're playing the Chargers, but look, it's prime time. The last 2 times that Denver's played in prime time, they've given up 9 and 10 points. So
yeah, I'd agree. If you really want to, I'd pick up the Ravens. I like their matchup against the Giants. I think they'll be able to stop the run and slow Saquon Barkley down. The Giants don't pose a big passing threat, so you shouldn't have to worry about the Ravens getting beat up over the top. But Ravens would be my first choice if you really don't want to play the Broncos defense. But I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I had the Broncos defense in our home league, and I was perfectly happy keeping them until the Niners defense became available. And then I said, okay, I'm going to swap them out. Like, I mean, that was the choice that I had. So I went with that, but there's nothing wrong with keeping the Broncos in against a Chargers team who, yes, seem to have it click a little bit more on the road against Cleveland, but the Chargers struggle against the Broncos, much like the Broncos struggle against the Raiders. So I expect it to be kind of another low-scoring affair. I don't think the Chargers offense is going to be running away with it. I'm not convinced that Keenan Allen's coming back. So you have Pat Surtain on Mike Williams. I like that. I think that's a good matchup for, entertainment purposes, right? If you can get into wide receiver, defensive back matchups, I like that. And it could be the Broncos trying to contain Austin Eckler in the short passing game more so than worrying about throws over the top.
And one thing you have to remember, there's not really a fan base yet in LA, so there's going to be a lot of Denver fans there. Like,
tons of Denver fans.
There's going to be a lot of Denver fans there in LA, so it's going to be loud when the Broncos are on defense.
Yeah.
I know
much like the Vegas game.
Right. I know that Bronco fans are disgruntled, but they're still going to show up.
Right.
Especially when you bought LA tickets.
All right, Wizzy Jefferson on the YouTube. I'm looking to trade one. Let me know who you guys think I should go with, Monty or Eli Mitchell and Jeff Wilson together. Needs a wide receiver. Who do y'all think I could go get?
Oh, all right. See ya.
I think it's truly dependent on what guys in your league are willing to give up, right? I mean, Eli and Wilson, so you can kind of say you have tabs on that Niners backfield.
I don't know.
But I still think you're going to
get more.
You can get more for Monty. Yeah, you can get more for Monty. So I would want to try and give up Wilson and Mitchell, right? Like, just try and give up a little bit less to see what you can get. But, man, oh man,
you need a wide receiver, huh?
You might be able to get your hands on a Tyler Lockett or Amari Cooper, or
if you're playing with the other guy, you might be able to get your hands on CeeDee Lamb. Shit.
Right? Maybe Michael Pittman if the owner's struggling at running back. Maybe. Possibly Chris Olave.
Realistically,
something like that. But you're looking at wide receiver 2 territory. Like, you're not getting inside that top 12 of elite receivers. You need to be thinking below that, and you're trying to hit a solid wide receiver 2.
And so realistically, what I would do, go look at, everybody else's roster, see what they have, propose the trade for the top guy, get the conversation started, and then work your way from there.
Like it. All righty, another question coming in here. Pick one: Mixon versus New Orleans, Walker versus Arizona, J-Rob versus Indy, Pittman versus Jax, full point PPR. Got to pick one. Who you going with?
I'm going with Mixon because it is guaranteed touches. Mixon has the safest floor. He's also the most talented player in this bunch. Michael Pittman might be number 2, but you're relying on Matt Ryan and the fact that Alec Pierce has seen more targets than Pittman 2 of the last 3 weeks. So I think that kind of slows your roll on that slightly. And we just saw ETN have a really good game last week, right? So we'll see if that continues to kind of snowball into more ETN usage. So for me, I'm taking the equation out of it, right? I'm not worried about what Walker's going to do in his first career start. I'm not worrying about what the Robinson ETN split's going to be, and I'm not worried about Matt Ryan finding Pittman. I know Joe Mixon is going to touch the ball 18 times against the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the floor there.
All righty. I like it. I'm right there with you, Mixon, as well.
Yeah.
Alex, any thoughts?
Just what a luxury to have.
Terry's got a loaded team.
Terry,
has
what a luxury. What a luxury.
Terry's got a monster
Good job
team.
drafting, man. Like, hats off to you on drafting.
All righty. Wizzy, kind of a follow-up question. His target was Pittman, but the guy that has him won't do trade. It's unfortunate, but whatever. Might go look at CD. I'd rather have CD than Pittman.
If you can get CD, go get CD.
Right.
See what the guy wants. See what the guy wants.
People like that are frustrating. Like,
yeah.
If you just refuse to look at trades and do trades, you're missing the point of fantasy football in general, and there's a reason why you don't win leagues. Like, you have to make moves. The team that you draft is not the team that you finish the season with ever. And if it is, you didn't win. I can all but guarantee it. So, you know what? His loss, your gain. If you can grab CD, go for it.
Right. I would agree. All righty, guys, let's go ahead and hit up the Pine and Shine results last week here, and then we'll start getting into some of these other ones. Guys, again, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Let's talk to them. Let's go through these things. Pine and Shine last week. Alex, why don't you go ahead and start us off here and tell us all about your Pine and your Shine?
I'd rather not. Can we go back to what I was at 2 weeks ago and I nailed everything? It was
You
great.
mean when you were 5-1?
My Greg Dortch home run pick.
Taking cupcakes.
Yeah. So I had heard the criticisms from the dais. So I did not take cupcakes this week. I went out there on a little bit of a that Dortch one. That was a hero call, right? Like that was a hero.
That was a great
hero
call.
pick. Okay, I said to not play Josh Jacobs versus Kansas City this week. Chiefs had been good against the run, and I thought the game would go a little differently than it did. Did not anticipate Vegas jumping out to a 17-point lead and then just watching it wilt away. So I was wrong on that one because Josh Jacobs put up a hell of a week. What did he finish, Derek? Go ahead and let me know.
It was his career best. Like, we'll just leave it at that. He had his like, not only did he hit high score the week before when he played Denver, but he said, nah, I got more. Watch this. New high score.
Yeah. Real hold my beer moment. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I got that one wrong. I was incredibly wrong on that Pine.
Alrighty. And for your Shine, how'd you rock and roll that one?
I said T. Higgins would have himself a good week. Ravens, really bad pass defense, and I thought it would be a field day for Burrow and company. It was not. And Higgins, what did he play? Like 4 snaps? Like
it was bad.
It was bad. So I went 0 on the week. But I'm still going to bask in the glow of the Greg Dortch call from
That's all right.
Weeks ago.
You're still sitting tied for first now with your 6-4. Kevin, why don't you go ahead and lead us on to the next round?
I see your Greg Dortch call, and I raise you one Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris goes down with an injury. Not that we predicted that, but that meant it was all Stevenson. And for the next few weeks, it sounds like it's going to be all Stevenson. And I am going to feast on this in my home league. I am so excited. I picked him up 4.5 rounds later than Damian Harris, and I called it to Derek. He was sitting next to me at the house. He came over and we were drafting together. I said, here's your guy right here. And be patient. It only, it took some time, and now it's going to pay off. So Ramondre Stevenson was my shine last week. That was a big hit. My Pine, I missed on. I said Pine CMC. I really thought he was going to struggle a bit more against the Niners. The rushing numbers were not there, but he was bailed out by 7 catches on 12 targets or something like that. So, I mean, all the receiving work made up for it, which it all counts. So I took the L on that one last week.
And that moves you to 6-4 as well. So now tied for the first on that one. I'll go ahead and hit mine up. I called for Courtland Sutton to have a big game in the Shine, and had a ho-hum game, right? Like, 5 for 75 type of thing. If he scores a touchdown, changes the dynamic of that quite a bit, right? And that moves him into where that Shine probably hits. But in a game where there's no touchdowns to be scored, there's no touchdowns going to Courtland Sutton. So
they were touchdowns.
Yes, they were touchdowns and target shouldn't have's in the end zone for him on a couple of those throws. But anyway, digress. So missed on my Shine, but my Pine, I did call for Drake London to have a ho-hum game. Certainly did that, finishing well below his expectations. And if you started him last week, you were very upset about that one. So that moves me to 6-4 as well. And 3-way tie, 5 weeks into the season. It's first time that in the last 3 years we've done this, that we've been this close about 5 weeks in. Normally we've seen this game separated out there, a couple of, somebody with a couple of game lead either way on this one. So
I was telling Derek, time to pick my game up. I got to retain my Pine and Shine trophy from last year. So
exactly.
I believe as the coaches say, water has found its level. I have come back down to earth.
Well, I did appreciate that a few weeks ago when you're like, you were in the chat while you're doing the JOB thing and saying that, that this Alex guy was really good. And then,
water found its level.
1 and 3 since those comments. So that's okay, Alex. You can get it back.
The britches were a bit big for me then.
Heavy as the crown, right?
Yes.
All right. Questions. Let's get back to it on some questions here on the YouTube. AJ on the YouTube, trade Waddle and Lockett for Amon-Ra. You get Amon. I am not making that trade.
No. I love me some Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I ain't giving up Waddle and Lockett for him. You can play Lockett over Waddle right now until Tua comes back. But once Tua comes back, Waddle's top 10, just the same as St. Brown would be. And you have Lockett, which is at the moment top 10, and definitely a top 20 play, even in some down weeks and dealing with some of the roller coaster that is Tyler Lockett. So no, I'm keeping Waddle and Lockett.
Not a chance I'm making that trade. If you're gonna try and trade those two away, you better be getting Cooper Kupp type of level back.
Fact.
All right. Next question coming in on YouTube. Terrence asking Travis Etienne or Alex Pierce as a flex this week. I'm probably going to go Pierce myself on this one. I think that he's got the higher ceiling. I think he's got the Etienne probably a little bit safer floor, but I flex play. I want the ceiling, and I think I'll take Pierce.
I'm going to take Etienne. I'm going to ride the hot hand from last week. Say they build upon it. So I'm going to lean the other way and give you a split decision right out of the bat because I would play Travis Etienne in this moment.
Fair enough. Alex, you got to be the deciding factor here.
I would lean Pierce strictly because, and I'll bring this up when we get to our next Pine and Shine, Colts run defense, pretty stout.
Right. And I see that. Terrence, full disclosure, I've got to actually start Travis Etienne as my running back 2 in the home league there, and I'm not overly happy about that one. But I think you can get a safe play out of him. I just think that Alex Pierce has the higher ceiling on that one this week. All right. So it sounds like, going back to that one, sounds like Alex and I are taking the Pierce side, Kevin on the ETN side of that one. So pick your poison, pick your analysts, see which one you liked better there. Ride that one out there. All right.
I'll tell you what, Terrence, fade me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Fade me.
Wow. Oh, all right. Well, moving on that great analysis there. Wizzy Jefferson over on YouTube, Team Lockett or Team DK? I'm gonna go with DK myself. I'm gonna take the more talented guy, the bigger body guy on that one there. Personally.
Cosign. I love me some big body X receivers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what DK is. So yes, I'm more Team DK.
Alex, DK or Lockett? Which way you riding?
You lock it. We covered this BS with Alex last season,
but that was with Russell Wilson at quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Let's ride.
I like them both. But yeah. I don't. You got to pick one. DK is probably the better option.
All right.
Good thing this is recorded.
I like how you're like, we need to get this recorded. It's live and recorded.
Remember what I said? I don't know what I'm talking about. I just had two horrific picks on Pine and Shine, like absolutely horrific picks.
That's all right. I know that you
not
redeem
take
yourself.
my advice right now.
Only
I am in a
four
rut.
snaps away from Higgins being a DNP and it not even counting against you. So it's not terrible, but
I am in a rut right now. So
like you almost got the pass on the buy type of thing.
It's a good time to be in a rut. I'm 2 weeks out from going to Vegas, so I need to get all this bad mojo away from me.
All right, let's get it out. Let's ride. And guys, for everybody out there in the chat, one of the best ways you can help support this independent podcast on the YouTube, click that subscribe button, hit the like button. Always appreciate the comments coming in here. Let's hit the next one here. Wizzy saying, what are you guys doing with Swift? Does he come back strong? I think he does. It's one of those that Dan Campbell and team seem to definitely put the player and the long-term understanding the players' long-term perspectives to help the organization out and help the team out there, and really seem to be doing the right things by the players there. And I think that's part of the reason the players come out and they fight for him on that one. So I think that he comes back strong. I think that you're still going to see Jamal Williams be a thorn in his side for fantasy production this year. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'm playing Swift. Yes, I think he comes back. Yes, I think they're going to use him. He'll still be used in the passing game. He's just going to be a guy, I think, that throughout his career, he's going to miss a game or two each year. Kind of like Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
He's not a frail guy, but he's also not a big-bodied runner.
Right, he's not the 6'2", 220 running back.
Exactly. So he's just not quite built like that.
He plays a violent sport in a violent position. It's just gonna happen.
Okay. Alrighty. So Vision over on YouTube. There's a chance Waddle doesn't come back until after the bye week, though.
He meant Tua.
Waddle. Yeah, Waddle. Yeah. Not Waddle. Sorry, Tua. Yes, I agree with that. But at that point too, right? Like you're not necessarily looking for Waddle week to week type of thing here, right? Like we're talking rest of season, that kind of stuff. And we've seen very good things out of this Miami offense with Tua and being able to feed both Tyreek and Waddle and sustain great performances after him. So even if we don't see Tua back this week, we'll see him back sooner than later. And I think we'll see this team really kind of bring it home there.
Yeah. And if you're nervous, if you're nervous, that's fine. Right. Like if you're that nervous about it, I understand. I think that even with Waddle being down because of the lack of Tua, the way Lockett's been playing, you're getting so much value there.
Right.
You're good. I just feel like you're giving up too much for St. Brown. Like ultimately, that's what it is. I feel like you're giving up too much for just St. Brown. Like if you want to give up Waddle and Lockett, then you should be getting back St. Brown and some ancillary piece. Like, some running back depth. Maybe your tight end sucks and you can improve.
Amon-Ra and Olave would be another thought there.
Yeah, something like that. So it's not that we're saying no outright, but I would definitely want a secondary piece to getting Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that there as well. Yeah, plus actually Waddle actually probably benefits more so than anybody else on that team from how Teddy Two Gloves plays the quarterback position should Tua miss. And I think we will see Teddy Two Gloves back this week here.
Any clear protocol yet?
I thought he cleared protocol already, but I could be mistaken on that one yet. But I think that he will clear before we see game time this week. Blake over on YouTube, should I drop Ayuk or Garrett Wilson for Walker this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Walker's going to be the feature in Seattle, so
I would drop Ayuk because I don't trust the passing game in San Francisco. I'm well documented on the fact that I am not the biggest Brandon Ayuk fan. But if your gut is telling you Garrett Wilson, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you over that. But yes, you want to drop one or the other for Kenneth Walker.
Yes, agreed. Pierce for Stevenson.
No. Short term, that looks great.
Right. But
Pierce
when you
is on
start
his bye week, coming out of back-to-back great games, but season long, what's going to help you the back half of the season? I think Dameon Pierce is probably going to help you more week in and week out towards the end of the season than Stevenson. I just don't see, even if Stevenson runs for 120 yards and a touchdown for the next 2 or 3 weeks, however long Damian Harris might be out, I don't think that's enough that Bill Belichick's just going to hand the keys over. He's still going to want a split back system. He's still going to rotate series in and out. So Stevenson's ceiling is drastically capped when Harris is healthy. So I'd rather have the guy who I know he's the only show in town, and that's Pierce.
Right. And Pierce coming on strong there, definitely getting more and more touches as we go through there. So, yeah, right there with you. Not going to make that move there. Terrence saying, should I drop Pacheco and go ahead and stash Watson? If you're in a single QB league, I probably wouldn't. Superflex, you could make that move, but
there's no way Watson's there in a Superflex, is there?
That's why I'm thinking it's single QB. But if it's single QB, I don't know that I necessarily want to stash a quarterback that I'm not going to be able to play for. You're
not playing Pacheco.
It's true.
That
is very true.
If that's what you're dropping to stash Watson, in my eyes, yes, because you're not giving anything up. You're throwing away an ancillary piece. So yes, grab Watson if that's what you're dropping.
I guess when you put it that way too, you're looking at that Kansas City backfield. You've got a bit of a crapshoot anyway on who it's going to be that week. Is it going to be a Jerick McKinnon? Is it going to be CEH? Are we going to see Pacheco get 15 opportunities on that one? So Kevin, you put that in perspective for me. Yes, agreed. Cade Smith, should I drop Russ for Geno? We've said yes on that one.
Yes. You are not alone, Cade. Just so you know.
No,
you are not.
There have been a couple of people answering that very question this week. So yes, drop Russ for Geno. Geno's QB 6 or 7, just depending on which scoring format you're in, it seems like. But until the Cowboys, until the Broncos can figure out what they're doing here offensively, the Seahawks at least have it figured out, right? They're going to try and run the ball a little bit. They want Geno to be extremely efficient. They're going to take a couple chances down the field. He's been over 300 yards 3 of the last 4 weeks. So, yes, Geno's the answer right now.
Yeah, and he's had a couple of top 5 finishes the last 2 weeks. So, absolutely. Jackson Polrag over on YouTube, would you try to get Godwin and Fournette? His team is Lamar, Dameon Pierce, Lenny, Kupp, Tyreek, Godwin with Hawkinson. So who would you try and go get with the Godwin and Fournette, given that roster makeup?
You might have a hard time with it being a package deal with them both being the same team. Honestly, I'm keeping them. Like, I feel like Tom Brady's only going to get stronger as the rest of the season goes. So I'm not sure that you're still not selling them almost at a floor if you're really dead set on moving them. Godwin and Fournette for CeeDee Lamb and as crazy as it sounds, like Najee Harris, right? Like, you take the downgrade at running back, you get the upgrade at wide receiver, potentially, but I really think that I'd keep both these guys on my team because I trust Tom Brady to at least be able to distribute the ball amongst his wide receivers. And Fournette's, he's the only show in town at running back there. They're not running Rachaad White out there. So I know that in half-point PPRs, Fournette's kind of been a little struggling. He hasn't been doing a great job on the ground, but it's the receptions. Like, he's been getting the receptions to help kind of dig him out of that hole. And I think that Tampa Bay is only going to get stronger as the season goes on and they continue to get healthy.
What are your thoughts, Alex?
Almost had one. I mean, look, I understand the frustration right now with Tampa's offense, but remember the year that they won the Super Bowl, they were god awful through the first 7 weeks, and then they figured it out. So I don't know. I think I stay put right now with both of those. If you are looking to move, I mean, that team's pretty darn set as it is. Maybe you could try to get some help at running back, but I mean, with Kupp and Tyreek, I mean, you've got 3. You know, Godwin. I think you're okay. I think you're okay.
Yeah.
That's good depth pieces right there.
Yeah, and you might be able to make a play, right? If you want a better running back, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you might be able to make a play for a Dalvin Cook or again, Joe Mixon and a piece back, something like that. Breece Hall and a piece back, something like that. So, I mean, there's some options if you're trying to upgrade running back to have someone to run there with Dameon Pierce as the rest of the season kind of continues. But I like the team. I mean, that you've built. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Right. I'd stay put on that move there as well. Alrighty. So guys, I know we got some more questions in the chat here. We're going to go ahead and get to our Thursday night preview here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hit more questions in the chat here and get you guys all the questions answered here. But first, we're going to talk a little Thursday night football here. And for the Thursday night foosballs, we've got the Commanders squaring off against the Bears. The line on this has been pretty even. I've seen it fluctuate from even to -1, favoring Chicago of all things there, which was a little bit interesting. Over under 38 on this one. What are our thoughts on this guy here?
So I took Washington, and initially when we did this, I took the over. I think I've taken the over on most Thursday night games, and I think I've been incredibly wrong on most Thursday night games. For whatever reason, where I thought defenses would be bad on Thursday night, coming off of being on the short week, and offenses would take advantage. That really hasn't been the case. I don't think we've seen too many high-scoring Thursday night games. We definitely did not see a high-scoring Thursday night game last week. So I've changed my mind here. I've gone Washington. I think Washington, when it's all even, I'll take Washington. I like their team a little bit better, although they're struggling just as bad as the Bears are. And I've changed to the under. I feel like this is going to be like a 24-20 game.
That would put you at an over.
It would put me at an over. I'm terrible. Yeah, no, I will stay with my over then. I'm staying with my over.
Okay.
Right, I'm going Washington in the under. The Bears defense has been playing really well. The offense is extremely anemic. Washington's had its own challenges. I think they're going to continue to try and get Brian Robinson built back into this offense because they clearly do not like Antonio Gibson for whatever reason. So for that, I think Washington finds a way to win the game. Just being slightly better on offense, but I'm taking the under. I think this is going to be another unfortunate primetime game.
Agreed. This one here has all the makings of like an 18-15 type of game, 20-17 type of matchup here. I'm going to take Washington. I'm going to take the under on this one. I do think that you're going to see two teams try and control the pace of play a little bit, and we'll see a lot of ground and pound, especially out of Chicago here. So that's kind of the way that I'm going to rock and I'm going to roll and look at that one, taking Washington. and the under on that. Let's go ahead and get over to our touchdown dance here, touchdown mania here. Game we play over on Monkey Knife Fight. You can play along with us over there, monkeyknifefight.com. Use the promo code GOBFF to play along with us. And first-time players, you can get a 100% deposit match up to $100 by using that promo code GOBFF on monkeyknifefight.com. So for those of you out there that haven't played this before, the way that this works, you pick 3 players from the game, you call your shot on the touchdowns there, and you get to pick your prize. So you pick 3 players, pick your prizing on that one. More than 2.5 touchdowns, and if you call that one, you can get a 2 prize. More than 3.5 touchdowns, you get a times 3 prize. More than 4.5 touchdowns, a times 6 prize, and you got to call your prize, call your shot from the get-go there. So, guys, who are you picking? Who are your shots here?
I'm going to take Monty, Brian Robinson, and Curtis Samuel at times 2. I'm not expecting a whole lot of points here, so we're going to have to hit all these correctly to be able to hit the way it is.
I'll take Monty. I'll take a rushing touchdown from Carson Wentz and Antonio Gibson, and I'll go times 2.
Okay. I've got Monty as well. So everybody locked in here on Monty, expecting one there. I almost went with the Justin Fields rushing touchdown to kind of mirror you there. But then I realized that I'm calling for the Bears to score, at least 2 touchdowns in a game. And I don't know that my brain could compute that. So I think that the Commanders will find a way to outscore this one, like I just said. And so I took the Brian Robinson there as well. I think that you're going to see him get mixed back in. And I think we'll see him get a little bit of goal line work this week. And I'm going to take Terry McLaurin on the touchdown there as well on a times 2 prize there. So very, very much a lot of fun. Again, guys, you can play along with us, submit your picks. Love seeing the screenshots and people winning, calling their shot on those. Send them over to them. You can DM us, shoot it over on the, all the socials out there, that kind of good stuff. But play along with us. Use the promo code GOBFF to get a 100% deposit match up to $100 playing on monkeyknifefight.com. You can also find the link to it down in the description on both the audio side of things and the YouTube side of things. All right, guys. So we have some more questions coming in here. Cade asking T-Law or Gino. I'd say Gino.
Gino.
Yeah, Gino.
Nick over on YouTube, would you rather have Cook or Fournette rest of the season? I think I'd rather have Leonard Fournette.
I'd rather have Cook.
I think I lean Cook too. Just like the fact that Minnesota uses him. And here's the deal. Like, Fournette is one dropped pass away from Tom Brady forgetting that he ever exists.
Yeah. Him and Fournette are tight, man. I don't think his leash is that short.
Right. When he takes that one off the header last year, still.
Yeah, I just think with Tampa Bay getting healthier, they're going to start to let Tom Brady do more of the things that he wants to do, with whether it's Evans, Godwin, and Gage, or Evans, Godwin, and Julio. We're just going to see some more aerial attack from Tom Brady as the season goes on, and Fournette's usage will go down. So I'm going to take Dalvin Cook.
All righty. So split decision 2-1 in favor of Cook there. All righty. Our boy on YouTube, need to waiver a tight end. Otten, Disley, Mo Alley, Cox.
Disley.
Yeah. Disley's probably the best bet there.
Yeah, the problem with Mo Alley Cox, well, that's the funner name of them, and certainly probably he's got to fall into the end zone. I don't trust Indianapolis to have that happen. So, all right, Terry over on the YouTube asking, rest of the season, who would you rather have, Aaron Jones or Dameon Pierce? I think I lean Dameon Pierce.
Aaron Jones provides your safer floor, in my opinion, just because you know what you're getting with Aaron Jones, and he typically sees a bit more of the passing work. Dameon Pierce, I think, has a higher ceiling, because what the hell else do the Texans have on offense?
Right.
Yeah. I'll lean Jones.
All righty. So split decision 2-1, Jones versus Pierce there. All right. Amon-Ra or Mike Evans? Oh, Amon-Ra for Mike Evans was the question. I think I'd rather have Amon-Ra.
Depends on how your roster build out is. If you're looking for like a solid floor, it's Mike Evans. Like, Mike Evans is your solid floor play. Again, 1,100 to 1,300 yards is damn near guaranteed. You know you're going to end up seeing double-digit touchdowns out of Mike Evans. But if you're looking for a wide receiver too with maybe a bit higher ceiling and some more pop, then maybe I'm looking the St. Brown side.
Alrighty, Alex, which one you rather have? Amon-Ra?
I think
Mike Evans.
I think as you know, it's a little scary as we were just talking about, all of the pieces for Tampa Bay coming back. I still think Mike Evans is still like Tom Brady's first look every play. So I'll lean Mike Evans. I think that offense figures it out.
Alrighty. Terry, Thursday night has got to do better with these matchups. Over under will be asleep by halftime. I don't blame you.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, but it's how these guys get to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So NBC has first right of refusal for all the games.
It's the best contract ever signed in professional sports.
They get first crack at what they want their Sunday night game to be week in and week out. And Thursday night football they're trying to do games that have some allure while staying out of divisional play and without changing like 3 different time zones, right? So the Niners-Panthers game, right? You wouldn't see that on Thursday night football because they don't want teams to have to travel 3 time zones. So you're looking at a 1 time zone swing either way. And in the largest viewing markets that they think they can get for these matchups. And they're going to continue to suck, guys, because people aren't going to tune into these Amazon Prime games the same way. Like, I'll be really, really interested to see what their viewership is. And it'll be hard to tell because they're streamed games. So you're not actually getting true ratings numbers.
Well, actually, I will
We've
counter
got
that.
a guy that
I will counter that. You'll actually have a better idea of what the ratings numbers are because the terrestrial, if you will, the over-the-air stuff, the games that are on, Fox and CBS, those are kind of estimated. They're estimated viewerships based on a number of different things, but they're pretty much estimated. Whereas with streaming, you pretty much know because you know exactly how many devices are tuned in to that game. You know exactly how long those devices are watching said game. So if anything, it'll screw them because they'll actually have accurate numbers for what that is. Even with, all the bars and things that have the deal struck with Amazon to stream those games in their bars. I think you have a better idea of what they are streaming wise than you do from CBS and from the over the air games of CBS, Fox, and NBC.
Fair enough. I did not know that. That's good to know.
But they have been terrible. They
Alex,
do need to do a better job. And unfortunately, you pick these games before the season ever starts. And look, we all thought the Broncos were going to be a good football team. So
yeah, and
that's why they've been in prime time 3 times in the first. What's that?
And every team is supposed to have at least one Thursday night game, right? As they roll through it and everything else. So,
and we're looking now at week 7, right? Week 6. And the Broncos will play their 3rd primetime game. Like, we all thought that those would be fantastic matchups, and they should have been on paper. I mean, it's a tough gig making the NFL schedule, but
they've been fantastically bad.
Right. I mean, if you want to see the sport of football as Newt Rockne intended, actually, no, not as Newt Rockne, because
this is their 4th primetime game.
Oh, my mistake. You're right.
4 out of their first 6 have been in primetime.
To a national audience. Yeah. And they've been terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They're embarrassing my fanhood. So, yes, they are garbage. Anyway, sorry.
Alrighty. Terrence over on YouTube, McPherson or Butker kicker this week? I'll take
McPherson.
I'll take the guy that's not injured, not coming off of injury.
Yeah. Although I'm sure Kansas City wishes they had Butker back.
Yes.
Also, can we go on a quick tangent here real quick about kickers? Yes. Find the one that's playing indoors for the love of God, if you're going to stream a kicker, find the one that's playing inside. Find the one that's on a good team, right? Because you're going to have the ability to get PATs.
The best team
and
playing inside that week.
But yes, find the best team playing indoors that week, whether it's a road team or a home team. Find the best team playing inside if you're that desperate to stream a kicker.
All right. I like it. Our boy asking, drop Schultz for Hill. I mean, if you want to take the Taysom Hill roller coaster ride, you can. The problem is Schultz hasn't done anything for you this season either. Thoughts on this one?
I am praying that someone in our league does something stupid like this so I can pick up Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. Schultz.
And I'm a Kyle Pitts owner, so believe me, I know how terrible tight end has been, especially in our home league. I'm at least going to take the flyer on it. I would rather have Schultz and deal with it and hope that when Dak comes back that it just naturally gets better and he's not staying in to block as much to help Cooper rush. He's able to get out in formation and run some routes. So I'd rather have Schultz, and I'm hoping people drop,
so
B-list players like that for a guy that I don't want any part of.
I can understand why, because he is playing through a knee injury. Schultz is. I can understand the allure of.
It sounds like he reactivated that PCL.
And the Cowboys just signed another tight end to try and play with that. But if he can get right, like he is so much safer of an option than Taysom Hill. You might just have to. If you can find a way to keep him on your roster and drop some other, wide receiver that is not doing anything but taking up a roster spot, and you can still go get Hill, then go do that. But do not bail on Dalton Schultz yet.
I would agree with that. Lucius over on YouTube trying to pick up a defense this week. They see the Pats, the Washington, Green Bay out there. Who do you guys prefer? Thanks in advance. So Green Bay, Washington, and New England. Rank them up. 1, 2, 3. Who you got?
Honestly, I think they're all about the same. Like the Pats are on the road at Cleveland. Green Bay's at home against the Jets, which I like, and Washington's on the road at Chicago. So since I think they're all the same, I want the home team. I want the team that has the crowd noise behind them. So I would lean Green Bay by a hair. But I do think that they are all relatively close and should be by the time the week is done.
I'll rank them Green Bay, Washington, New England.
Okay. I've got it Green Bay, New England, then Washington out there. I do like Kevin's point that, get the hometown team on that one. The Jets, they've shown some pop here and there, but I'll take Green Bay on that one. All righty, Terrence over on YouTube starters. He's got Brady, JT, Aaron Jones, Godwin, St. Brown, Olave, Hurst. Bench is Etienne, London, Dotson, Algier, Pierce, Jameis Winston on the IR spot.
And Williams.
Oh, and Jameis Williams. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Jameis and Javonte Williams.
No,
I think it's Jameson
Williams.
Williams.
It's Jameson Williams.
The rookie in Detroit, the wide receiver. Should I panic after a 2-4 start in a 12-person league? I don't know how you're 2-4 in after 5 weeks. Maybe 2-3.
I think that's what he meant. Anyway, no, I'm not panicking. I think Brady's going to get stronger. As Brady gets stronger, Godwin automatically gets stronger. St. Brown's going to come back from a bye week and be healthier. Olave's got to get through concussion protocol, but he's been nice. No, I don't think it's time to panic, right? When Pierce gets out from his bye week, maybe you do play matchups more with Pierce and Aaron Jones, right? Because Pierce is going to see, the lion's share of the workload. But, Tinder.
Whoa. Let me help you with that thought there.
But overall,
don't come in here and spam my chat. No, I would agree. I don't think it's time to panic either. you've had a lot of injuries that have kind of gone through here and kind of wrecked your season here to start this thing off here, right? Brady got off to the slow start. Jonathan Taylor missed this last week here. Has missed kind of a almost a game and a half type of thing on that one. Aaron Jones been okay for you. Godwin's been hurt. St. Brown's been hurt. Olave, like you've got a lot of pieces here, and for the most part, you've kind of had to piecemeal this team together and starting rosters here. Once your team gets healthy going down the stretch, I think you'll be great. They've got some notable waiver ads as well with Cobb, Corey Davis, Boone, Benjamin, and Boyd. Any thoughts about construct and potentially going after some waiver claims there?
Well, I like the idea. We said it earlier with our waiver wires. I like the idea of grabbing Eno Benjamin this week just so that nobody else has him, even if you don't need him. Like just so that nobody else has him, because I'm not sure that Connor's going to go.
Who are you dropping for? And I'm not saying you're wrong.
I just right there
Algier,
with you.
Right? Algier
probably
kind of thing. Dotson started out so hot, right? Like you want to see how this injury is kind of progressing and what they think, because if Dotson can go Thursday night, I think that might screw up all of our monkey knife fights. Like he might end up in the end zone, and he's the one guy that we didn't talk about. But
right.
I think that would be possible. I mean, I would be more inclined, honestly, to be looking at a Boyd or Corey Davis in case Olave can't go, because St. Brown's already on a bye week.
Oh.
So just London's to fill the roster.
Yeah. And London's got a tougher matchup there.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I would be looking at probably Corey Davis. He's been the most consistent up to this point. And the last thing you want is a goose egg. So I would be looking at maybe Corey Davis over Tyler Algier for this week, just to make sure you have enough, because if Olave doesn't clear protocol in time and you've already missed the first round of waiver claims, you might be stuck with something that you really don't like.
Right. Although I'm assuming that I guess the question that I've got there is the Pierce, is that Damian Pierce or is that Alec Pierce? Because that does change the equation quite a bit there too.
I agree with that.
Even if it's Alex Pierce, as a potential flex play, I wouldn't have a problem putting him in there on this one. Right. Like he seems to have the hot hand. We seem to see some things going there. So I'd be okay potentially putting him in there, but tell me what you think about this thought here, as far as, managing this roster. You've got Jameis Williams on the IR spot, and I get it. I've stashed him all over the place through several leagues as well. But what you've got there as well is, would you be opposed to dropping Jameis Williams if Olave and or Dotson are unable to go, flex them into the IR spot and pick up a guy like Corey Davis to potentially start this week?
Probably, but I understand people who would not like to do that, because it's all the unknown, right? It's fun because it's unknown and we don't really know what's going to happen, but we hope it's the shot in the arm here to end the season. But yeah, I would probably be willing to do that. Again, Corey Davis would be the guy I'd be looking at.
Okay. All righty. Any other thoughts on this one for Terrence out there?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. Awesome. All righty, guys. Let's get so question out there. Kevin, I need you to be the judge on this. When I say Alec, how does that come across?
In reference to the Indianapolis wide receiver.
Well, you've said it both ways.
Okay, fair enough. Alex is over. So peel back the curtain here. Alex is over here giving me a hard time saying that I'm saying Alex every time. I'm like, no, I said Alec. Anyway, my bad. All right. Let's go ahead.
He's not good enough to share my name. I'm sensitive to these sort of things.
Okay, fair enough. Alrighty,
He's
guys.
probably way better of a human being than I am. But go on. Let's move on.
All right, let's go ahead and let's hit up the Pine and the Shine for week 6 here. And we'll go ahead and start it off with the Pine, right? The Pine, the Shine. This is where we hop in. We tell y'all who we think is going to have a great game, who we think is going to have a lackluster game, and potentially needs to move to your bench here. But let's go ahead and let's start it off here with the Pine. Alex, go ahead and lead the way.
I just realized I'm going to get raked over the coals for this one because Kevin's lone criticism of my Pine and Shines this week is that they've been cupcakes. And I've gone back to that well because I had a bad week last couple weeks. So I'm going to go with James Robinson, the Jacksonville running back, but not because Travis Etienne is probably going to get the lion's share of the work, which he probably will. But also, that Colts run defense is pretty darn stellar. So I will say that you need to Pine James Robinson this week.
Alrighty, I like it. I'm going to go with a get right for mine here in the the Pine here, and I'm going to call for Tyler Algier as a Pine. Going up against an incredibly tough matchup. Yep, I'm taking the cupcake here.
Oh my God!
I told it.
It's a get right week, man.
The content you guys are putting out right now.
It's a get right week, my friend. It is a get right week.
It's a get right week. All right. Let's look at this real quick here. Tyler Algier is going up against San Francisco. They're playing a tough matchup here, and he's still ranked in a place that he would be flex consideration out there. So when you look at it, he's running back 28 on the board. So he's in that fringe RB2 territory off of consensus rankings here. And I think that he's a bad bet if you're going to try and put him in there as your RB2 or as your flex play. And I'm telling you that you got better options out there.
We've got a Finkel is Einhorn situation happening here in the comments because Kevin is Terry or Terry is Kevin.
No, Terry just is on the right page. My Pine of the week, Najee Harris. He is yet to reach any type of projected total that websites have put out for him. Kenny Pickett's the starting quarterback. They're going up against Tampa Bay. They're going to be trailing on top of the fact that you can't run against Tampa Bay. You drafted Najee in the first or second round, depending on your draft, and now he is sucking hind tit. It is a frustrating time to be a Najee Harris owner, and I don't know that it's actually going to be getting any better. Pine his ass this week.
So just to be fair, when I'm kind of looking at some consensus rankings, Najee's out there as RB22, James Robinson is RB23, Tyler Algier is RB28. So they're all kind of right there in that same grouping when you look at consensus rankings for week 6 out there.
Well, 2 of the 3 are RB2s, so I'll at least give Alex credit for that.
That's fair. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
Don't worry. All the goodwill that I earned, I'm about to just lose it all here with the Shine. So
fine. You want a Pine this week? That's a spicy take, Kevin.
No.
Here you go.
You put this out here.
Spicy take. An RB1 that's consensus that I'm going to tell you to Pine that's going to underperform his projections. Joe Mixon. There you go. That's
leaving it at that. All right, let's move on to our Shines. Cue the graphic. There it is.
All right, so the Shine. Who's going to outperform? Who's going to have a big week this week? Call it out. Alex, start it off.
I feel dirty even saying this. Let's go with Melvin Gordon, the Denver running back. Realistically, I think the Denver running backs are going to have a pretty good day. Chargers are terrible against the run. And Wilson's got the back injury, I guess. I know that they don't have a left tackle, but realistically, if you've got your O-lineman moving forward instead of moving backward, it's a lot easier. We all know that run blocking is way easier than pass pro. So if Nathaniel Hackett is smart, which I don't know that he is, they will run the football like hell. And so I've gone with Melvin Gordon. I also think that Mike Boone gets a nice little bump as well. Not that he's really worth, I think that's a break glass in case of emergency play, but I do think that Denver running backs will have a good week based on the Chargers being just downright pitiful against the run.
I like it. Kevin, who you got for your shine here?
I'm taking Jacoby Myers. I've kind of hinted at his name a couple different times here throughout the show. I like his usage numbers, even with Zappy playing quarterback again. I don't think Mac Jones is going. So even with the backup quarterback there, he's seeing, on average, 9.5, 10 targets a game through the 3 that he's played. I expect him to perform admirably this week.
I like it. My shine. I've got Jeff Wilson Jr., running back for the Niners here. Matchup is pretty prime, going up against Atlanta here. Atlanta giving up top 12 production to opposing running backs here. They're averaging about 7 to 8% more points opposing running backs against the Falcons defense. So prime matchup here, and I think that we're going to see Jeff Wilson outperform his production here and have a pretty darn good game here as well. Any other thoughts here for the Pine and Shine guys?
Hope it's a good get right week. My goodness.
Alrighty. Hoping for a get right. Alrighty. So, and guys, one of the other things too, we it does look like we won our matchup on Flex Fantasy against the guys over there at Belly Up from Dan Mater's show. And so means that we're going to be moving on here, and we should be seeing, who we're playing here in this next week here shortly. But let's real quickly, let's. All right, and you can head over there. You'll find the link down in the description, and check out Flex Fantasy. One of the fun ways to play against folks that aren't necessarily in your leagues there as well. And hop on there, support us in the Tournament of Champions, pick us to win our next matchup there, and we're making that march towards cash and trophies, even middle of the season right here. But guys, I think that's going to start bringing us down here to the end of it. I don't see any other questions coming in, anything like that. So let's go ahead and hit up final thoughts here. What are the final thoughts y'all got for out there for the watchers and listeners?
Continue to work the waiver wire. Continue to evaluate all trades, right? We're always trying to improve our roster. So hit us up. Let us know how we can help, because our goal is to make sure you are successful.
I'll add one more thing. I think what we know through the first 5 weeks is that we don't know much about the NFL this year. A lot of 2 and 3 teams, a lot of 3 and 2 teams. A couple teams are starting to separate themselves, but realistically, it's too early for them to really separate themselves. There's one undefeated team left, and there is no defeated teams, if I'm correct in that. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, the Texans won.
So the league is sorting itself out. We are finding things out. I get that we are, 5 weeks through, but that is a small sample size. Injuries are starting to creep up and take their toll. I will tell you the same thing that I think a lot of GMs are telling their coaches right now. Now is not the time to panic, but
now is the perfect time to panic.
But there is time to grow concern if you feel like your team is trending in the wrong direction. So, as Kevin said, evaluate your trades, figure out what is looking like it will work, not for this week, but for the long haul.
I like it. Speaking of trades, a couple of those coming in the chat real quick. So we'll hit these things up and we'll call it a night here. Monir over on YouTube. Do I trade Aaron Jones and Hunt for Josh Jacobs? Are you trading Kareem Hunt, Aaron Jones for one Mr. Josh Jacobs? Thoughts?
No.
Man, that Jacobs owner's capitalizing on some prime real estate right there.
Yes.
I don't think I'd do it. I think two heads.
Look,
I think two's better than one, and ultimately Oakland's going to be trailing in a lot of games. Yes, they want to try and run the ball, but I don't trust Josh McDaniels, so I'm sticking with Aaron Jones and Hunt because we will see throughout the season he will continue to see usage.
Right. I mean, Josh Jacobs, when you start looking at it from a playoff perspective, which is, some of the things, if you're going to make trades, he has an incredibly tough matchup for your fantasy playoffs. Week 17, San Francisco. Week 16, Pittsburgh. And there's a good chance that we see TJ Watt back in that one there. New England in week 15. The Rams in week 14. So where you're going to really need him for fantasy, to really try and bring home a fantasy championship, you got tough matchups there. So I would stay away from that one. Money are asking Justin Fields or Carson Wentz half-point PPR. What are your thoughts here? You playing Justin Fields, you playing Carson Wentz on the Thursday game? I think I'm going to lean Carson.
it feels like a coin flip, doesn't it?
I'm leaning Carson.
I think.
I love either one of them, but I'm going to lean Carson.
Since I picked Carson Wentz to score a rushing touchdown and did not pick Justin Fields, I will lean that way as well.
All right. Expanded on that question a little bit. Wentz, Fields, Geno, Zach Wilson. It's Geno for me.
Geno.
Consensus, Geno. Maher or Sokup? Who you want for a kicker?
Who's playing inside?
Well, you got Dallas and Tampa Bay is who those two kickers belong to.
I'm going with Maher.
Dallas seems less likely to put the ball in the end zone and settle for field goals.
And they're outside in Philadelphia. The Cowboys are. Tampa's at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, same Pennsylvania air.
I'm going with Maher. Alex,
find somebody playing inside. For the love of God, drop one of them. Find somebody playing inside.
Saucy Boy on YouTube. Should I trade Dobbins? That depends on who you're trading him for. He's got Jacob, Barkley, Hunt, Dobbins. That's why I asked about that. So it really depends on who the offer for Dobbins is, right? Like you're not going to just give him away, but it really depends on what the offer is.
Yeah, just now heading into bye weeks, I don't know that I'm trading Dobbins because
they're working him in, right? They're working him in. And that offense will be better once they have a fully healthy J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I think I'm staying put.
I think you've got a good what's the word I'm looking for? Good bevy of backs there. Yeah, like you've got good backs there. There's no need to move off of somebody in a panic.
Right. Yeah,
you've got guys that can get you through for now, and you've got the option of Dobbins. Like you're fine.
Yeah, it very much depends on what the offer is. So, Money, or do I waste my number 2 waiver on Gallup, Rondale Moore, Taysom Hill, Alex Pierce?
There, you did it again.
I said Alec.
No, you definitely did not.
Alec Pierce.
You have like this wall.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. All right, Mr. Alex, would you waste the number 2 waiver wire on Gallup, Rondale Moore, Taysom Hill, or Alec Pierce?
I mean, we've been talking all show. This feels like it's been the Alec Pierce show. So I feel like we'd go against it.
Kevin, that's one.
Do you lose? You don't lose your priority if you wait until round 2, right? Like it's just for that initial. So I'm sitting tight and then I'm seeing what's left and then I make my move. I'm not wasting it for any one of these guys, but I would take a flyer on Gallup or Pierce on the second round if no one picks them up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of those you could see either one of those guys sneak through, I think, on that one. So I kind of like it. All righty. Well, guys, that's gonna wrap up all the questions here. Any final thoughts before I sign us out here?
Good night, America.
I like it. Last one. What do you think about Brian Robinson?
I like him. Keep him on your bench. He's going to continue to get more usage as the season goes on.
Yep, we were telling you that you should have been stashing him weeks ago. So, love it. Rock and roll. Alrighty. So, guys, that's going to do it for us. You know, if you have any other questions, things like that, we premiere the fantasy mailbag on YouTube tomorrow. We'll be in the chats helping answer some questions, things like that. More than welcome to join us over there. We premiere the fantasy mailbag on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. So you can hop in there, chat along with us, all that kind of good stuff. Answer those, ask any questions. We'll answer those for you. We'll be live again Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern out there, breaking down all the slates of games, going through all of that. And then we'll be live Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern as well. Doing a full on just start, sit, question show for you, helping you get your fantasy rosters right. Again, best way to reach us out there at the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Good Old Boys FF. And the best way to support this independent podcast, head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button. He's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.